Gather, children, sit for a spell. I'll tell you of black witches and where we dwell. Tituba, though great, not the first of our kind, with magical DNA, flip our heritage and rewind. Stolen our language and mystical beliefs, our evolution left from text so our children won't speak or seek. As the chiefs have their guns and wartime brute force, the priestess has her ancestors and spirits, of course, who direct and change history's course. We've toiled in the earth, black witches' blood spilled, shame eradicated, beat down. Hear our cries, feel our shrills. It is here where I invite you. It is here where I'll spend. Come in, children, come in. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another Black Witch University podcast. I am Lakeisha Harris.
And I am Toni Maurice Milburn.
And I'm Lorena Elizabeth Bostic Seals.
And we are the founders of Black Witch University. You can reach Black Witch University through our Patreon page. And if you have been a listener, we really would love your support financially as we grow and try to expand Black Witch University. Also, we can be reached via our social media accounts on Facebook and Instagram, and through our website at www.blackwitchuniversity.org. So let's get into it, ladies. This week, we will be talking about peaceful households, and who don't need a peaceful household right now? We got a lot of stuff going on politically, socially,
yes,
in our lives, at work. We need to come home to peace.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be our sanctuary, but I'm sure a lot of us are not able to enjoy that. So we're gonna have to talk about what's going on and give them some suggestions on how to get back that peacefulness.
Yeah, this is the place to de-stress, not to be stressed.
Right.
Come on, Lorena. Yes. And so with that, I feel like there is kind of two types of disruption in the household. One, there is the physical disruption where you're having arguments and fights with your loved ones. You may be going through a breakup, divorce, or, arguments with your kids and significant others in the household, whether that's parents, whether that's just people that you're living with. So much discord that can be happening in the home. And then there's the hauntings.
What about when you have both?
You have both. You can have both.
When you got both, you really got some issues going on.
Yeah, right. You can have both. We talk about spirits a lot. And mostly in good ways, right? We talk about our spirit cords and get all wooey and so forth and so on. And there are the mean-spirited spirits, that are specifically there to disrupt and bring disruption into the household. And you don't know necessarily why they're there. Somebody could have sent them. They could have been there and don't like you in their house. I often listen to this podcast during, throughout the year now, but I first started to notice it in during the Halloween season. I would play it a lot, and that I think it's called it's by NPR, and I believe it's Hauntings or something like that. But it specifically talks about people being haunted in their house, and some of the things that they saw and don't know how to get rid of. Anyway, there is real and actual hauntings in the house. So without further ado, let's go on. Toni, you want to kick us off with talking about signs and recognizing?
Well, absolutely. So some of the things you can look for if you are getting home and it seems like the first thing you do is start arguing, or even better, the first thing you do when you walk in the house is you feel a sense of dread or a sense of discomfort as soon as you walk through the door. a sense of heaviness is coming down on you, you've got some issues going on. As soon as you walk in and that sense of heaviness comes down, you just kind of feel like everything is going to go crazy and your attitude changes. It's like that attitude bounces from person to person to person to person in the house. And where you may not have had arguments, now you got arguments. Where you may not have had nightmares or anything of that nature, now that stuff is happening more frequently. You might have what I call, I have cold spots sometimes in my house. So there are areas when I have spirits visiting that either I didn't know were there or that just came to hang out. The spaces they're in tend to be colder than the rest of my house. So those are some of the ways that I know I need to clean things out. And we're not going to we will. The ancestors have their own way of letting you know they are not happy with whatever it is you did or did not do. And mine particularly will cause chaos in my house if I have not given somebody coffee, or if I haven't cleaned off an altar, or if I know they've been asking for something and I haven't given to them, then they will cause discord. They will make chaos going on in my house. So that's another area that you need to think about.
Thank you so much for bringing that up, because I was going to say too that some people are dabbling, some people are, calling on ancestors and other things that they don't know. They haven't really built a relationship with at that point. And things start going awry in the home, and people will claim to not have any idea why. Well, what have you changed? What have you done that's new? Somebody may be trying to get your attention.
At one point, I had a lot of glass breaking in my house.
Oh, wow.
And I feel like that was a telltale sign that I had some sort of a haunting. Mm-hmm. I mean, like there was one point where I was actually doing in the middle of cleansing my house. And I had a big townhouse at this point. And I was in the middle of cleansing the house and trying to get rid of that negative energy. And as the energy left, my daughter was going down the stairs and was picked up and thrown through one of my glass doors.
Wow.
As that spirit was leaving, like she was thrown, and I was like, "Ooh, let me hurry up. Let me get to shifting this energy rather fast," because I was in a battle. I was really in a battle with these spirits. And I knew then that it was not a good spirit, any spirit that will, pick up that energy.
That amount of bodily harm is completely malefic.
Yes. So those disruptive behaviors, you find your child arguing, you can't concentrate on your work in the home. Mm-hmm. Whereas you had been previously felt like, oh, this is beautiful, this is my sanctuary, and now you can't even concentrate while you're in the house. It is time to do a spiritual cleansing of your home.
It is.
Another one that you can look for is your plants. When your plants start to look wilted and you've been doing everything that you can, remember plants are living beings and they pick up the energy around them just like we do. So if you are someone who has a lot of houseplants around and you notice that your babies are not as healthy as they should be, but you're doing all of the things that you normally do that would keep them healthy, you might want to consider the energy going on in your home too.
Yes, absolutely. That's a good one, Tony. Yes. And that's a reason why to keep plants and animal spirits around you. I would notice that Muddy would just sit in the window, looking out the window, just staring. He would get food and he would just go right back to the window looking. And I was like, uh-oh, there's some spirits there. I got to do some cleansing, not just to the inside of my house, but outside of my house.
Right.
Like going around the perimeter and, asking benevolent beings to leave the ground. just out of my house. And so your animal spirits will tell you. They know if they're acting erratically. They're picking up the vibration of the house, your vibration, but also they're seeing with spirit eyes what you cannot see.
Yes.
Exactly.
If they're barking at a spot in your home or pointing, other animals just suddenly become anxious, turning around in circles, but not in a fun way. Your animals really are one of the first lines of sight for you to see when something just isn't right in your atmosphere.
Yeah.
And so there are levels to the weight of discord. So, like to the extreme, what happened with Keisha's daughter? Literally being thrown through a window. Okay, that's a lot of weight right there. Mm-hmm. That's a total heavyweight. So there is an extreme issue. There's something very powerful that doesn't belong there. It requires more effort and diligence on the part of the spiritual worker to cleanse something like that. And then on down to the other end of the spectrum, you're arguing with somebody in your home that you normally always get along with, or every time they say something, it just gets on your nerves. But it's very out of the ordinary. It's unusual. Sometimes you can't just chalk it up to a bad day. Did you even have a bad day? Mm-hmm. So you want to notice these levels, which is also going to help you to gauge what type of issue that it is that you're having. Sometimes it's somebody's just having bad thoughts about you on repeat in their mind, and it's manifesting. And sometimes that's a person in the household. So this person that you're suddenly feeling snappish with, they might be having some thoughts that aren't too kind, and you're just unaware of this. So that's telling you to communicate. And then you could do something light, like maybe burning some sage or lighting a peaceful home candle, because you've immediately gotten to the root of the problem. But you have to observe, and you have to ask yourself, well, what is this? What can I do now to figure out what it is before it gets worse?
Absolutely.
I have one I would like to add to this pot of what could be going on. If you have a house full of empaths, and I know the three of us have seen this happen. You have one empath who is more powerful than the rest, but everybody in the house is an empath. And the one who has the most strength is in a negative headspace. And that empath comes home. Every other empath, it's like this domino effect. It starts to affect everybody in the house because they're empaths. So they're picking up the energy from the strongest all the way down to the weakest in the household. And so the only way that can stop is the person who's having the most issue. There has to be a cleansing done there, and there has to be acknowledgement that there's an issue. But that's another way that it comes in when you're not really sure. If you are an empath, you tend to pick up things and feel things that other folks don't feel.
Right. And it can manifest in physical signs too.
Yes.
So, where we're talking about gut problems, skin issues,
headaches,
migraines.
Yes.
Migraines, even joint pains. Our elders used to say, "Oh, I can feel the rain," or "There's trouble
in my bones."
I can feel it in my
and
bones.
then you got to get the olive oil and rub it on their knees for 4 hours.
Yes, exactly. So, that it really does. It manifests physically. So what is done in spirit manifests in an emotional standpoint, and from emotional to physical, if you are allowing it to continue. If you are allowing this to continue, it will ultimately manifest in the physical. So some of the ways in which we can rectify the situation, since we've identified the situation and discord and chaos that could happen in the home.
I want to add one more thing to identifying. And this kind of goes back to when we were talking about divination. Dowsing rods are
Yes.
excellent for locating points of negativity in your home. And it doesn't even have to be negativity. If you think there's a ghost or you think there's an ancestor hanging around and you're asking the rods, like, where are they in the home? Where are they most focused? Is this person here? Do they wish me well? Do they wish me harm? That is absolutely the best way to get very straightforward answers, and also pointing you to the central location of the ghost or the entity that is in your home. And sometimes it's going to point to somebody who lives there, because I was having an issue one day and I said, who is it? And it pointed at the person who it was, which was my daughter. She got mad too, because she knew. She was like, why did you do that? You made it do that. I'm like, no, I just wanted you to know that
That is
the
you.
invisibles
That
know
is you.
it's you.
It's you, girl. So, some of the things that can be carried out spiritually, physically, what can some things, recommendations that we can provide for someone seeking help? Some practical skills that can be given.
Well, one of my favorite herbs for peaceful home and just bringing peace and harmony in general is Althea. And a lot of people claim to, like, they don't know what Althea is or have never heard of it, but it's actually Rose of Sharon. And I have 3 Rose of Sharon trees growing in my yard. They are prolific. A lot of people don't like to have them because they spread quite easily, but they are beautiful, and it is a peace bringer. So, get the roots, or get the plant. Get a plant in your yard, and that's just going to keep growing the peace. The more the plant grows, the more it is an invitation to peace on this property.
So, for me, I think my favorite at the door, I put 2 plants at my door, mostly. And that is rue. Rue is the witch's herb.
Yes, it is.
And rue at the door can be so very protective. You put it in a pot. I put it on either side of my door. So I have 2 rue plants, and I'll put them at the front of my door, which I have not done since I moved to this new place. So thank you, Spirit, for reminding me to put my rue at the door. So rue at the door. And I also like aloe vera at my front door too. So I'll put rue, and then I'll set aloe vera on the other sides of it.
That's
perfect. My porch is big enough. And rue and aloe vera just brings on the protection, healing when you're first entering somebody's home space. I also like to clean my front porch off. I'll do like Van oil and then spread the red brick dust on the porch under my mat even, as a level of protection. And also making people take off their fucking shoes at your door.
Right there.
Take off your shoes at the door.
Leave all that mess at the front door. Don't even bring it in the house. Just don't even bring it in the house.
You never know what people walking on in their shoes.
Hello.
That's some level of conjuring.
Real talk, you guys. One of the easiest things you could do to keep mess out of your home: no shoes.
No shoes at your front door. So that's one of my go-to for eliminating discord and disruption in my front door. But those are physical manifestation of the disruption, right? Do you have anything else you want to add for like anything, Tony?
Yes, actually, I keep, and it's so simple, I keep bowls of salt in my various rooms because salt is something that absorbs negativity, and I change it out once a week. So I will flush it down the toilet, and it doesn't have to be a huge bowl of salt. It can be a small bowl, but every single room has a bowl of salt in it.
I do salt water. I think, aw.
But this is helpful to me. I know that it does absorb. And so once a week, I'll take it up, dump it out, push down some fresh. If I happen to be having bad dreams or I'm having difficulty sleeping or something like that, I will actually use some of our black protection salt in a bowl underneath my bed and right at the head of the bed where I'm sleeping. And that will help me, that protects me while I'm sleeping, and that absorbs some of the negative too. So that's my all-time favorite. I also have a lot of crystals in my house. So rose quartz, blue kyanite, and black tourmaline and selenite are pretty much every single space that you walk in my house, they're there. And I chose those because rose quartz is the love stone, so it encourages love. Blue kyanite is a healing stone, but it's also a conductor of energy. So it's going to continue to ground spiritual energy and then conduct that spiritual energy as well. Selenite and black tourmaline are both absorbers of negative. So they pull it in and they hold on to it and they don't let it back out. So those are my go-tos for me personally in my home.
Yes, absolutely.
And crystals want to help you.
Mm-hmm.
You guys, you will feel a tangible difference when working with your crystals. And when you tell them what you want them to do, you will see a shift, because they're going to do what they can to ameliorate any kind of negativity in your home. Mm-hmm. When you make a specific request, wow, it's like they just redouble their efforts. If they have a purpose, you see a real change.
Yes. As far as like the spiritual entities and cleansing of the homes, those huntings, those things that go bump in the night and sometimes in the day and sometimes in the afternoon, and the ones your cats and your dogs are catching or what have you.
Or the ones playing with your granddaughter, talking about it's their birthday.
Yes. No. Beyond the sage, because everybody loves a good sage, right? But beyond the sage, I tend to first do a thorough clean. Anytime I'm going into any house, it's a cleansing upon entry, and that is like going through with the sage, with the basil, holy basil. I love holy basil, dried, and frankincense and myrrh, just like going in and cleansing the space. And then I'm also using, 4 thieves vinegar, just making sure that I'm mopping the floors, the door handles, just everything, anointing it with my energy. Mm-hmm. Which we have some on sale. The shop will be up. We're still working on it, but it's going to be a 4 Thieves vinegar is amazing with anointing stuff. Also, I like, and I just love sweeping and also vacuuming using borax. So I put borax and I'll use I'll put in a few drops of the bluing. I don't know if y'all know about the bluing agent, but using a little bit of bluing and mixing that together. And then I love hyssop. So hyssop is just like busting up any of the negative energies, anything that has been put in the space or on you. Right. I make a mop water of that. I can mop the floors with it. If you have carpets, you can sprinkle it in your carpets and then vacuuming it up. All of that is really good. And then lastly, to keep them at bay, I get the little camphor cubes that I put in the corners, in the 4 corners of each room. So I think that's my recipe.
That's perfect. So, like, to give you a little bit of a timeline, you'll want to drive the negative spirits out. So what we have said is you can wash your floor down after sweeping. Some people like to lay down an herb blend on the floor to sweep and a powder blend on the floor to vacuum. When it comes to the liquids, the Four Thieves vinegar, the Chinese floor wash, you're going to want to wash all your surfaces though, not just the floor and the knobs. You want to wash on top of the TV stand, on the top of the dresser, the handles of the dresser, everywhere that you touch on a regular basis, especially in the rooms where you feel the most discord, right? So you're doing a dry sweeping or vacuuming, then you're doing your wet wash. You're using these incense or resins that we've told you about. Some people love sage, but we all three have different experiences, and that's not the go-to for any of us. Personally, sage really just helps me remember my dreams if I burn it before bed. Palo Santo is excellent for driving out negative spirits. Cedar or juniper are also wonderful herbs for driving out negative spirits. And not only do they drive them out, but they open up the space and are actually welcoming to things like your guardians, your spirit guides, friendly spirits who are here to assist you. So they clear the path of malevolence and then kind of recreate a new path for positive things to come in.
And now that you've said that, that's an important segue into, once you've done all of this cleaning out, now you've been left with this vacuum of space, and you need to fill that space with something positive. Otherwise, you've just left open space for more negative to come into it. So I know Keisha's favorite go-to, if I recall correctly, is sweetgrass.
Yeah.
So burning after you've gone through and you've done a cleansing, or you've wiped your surfaces down and you've done your sweeping and you've done your sage or Palo Santo, come back through with some sweetgrass or burn something that brings you peace, whatever that might be for you, because it really isn't the same for everyone. But whatever brings you peace of mind and peace of heart, walk through every single room of your house. Make sure you walk into the closets. Make sure you open your pantry doors. Just open it all. And then what you're doing is inviting positive energy back into your home to fill up that space so negative doesn't have room. That prevents negative from having any kind of space.
And call you if you know your ancestors. And I'm just hyper aware, especially since finding my ancestors, like hyper aware that everybody don't know who their ancestors is that you want to come back in by their name out loud and saying, these are the spirit beings that I'm welcoming in. I definitely recommend calling out any spirit guides that you work with for sure. Like I always invite Raphael to come in to my home. That is definitely one of my high spirit guides. My ancestors, Yemaya, Oshun, making sure that my warriors that I say my Omitutus at the front door and bringing in my warriors into my new space. So just being aware that you're inviting who you want. This is your home space. This is your sanctuary. Call out those names that you know are going to help you and are of most benefit for you entering your space.
And don't just do it one time. This is something that should be a habit for you. If you are cleansing your space on a regular basis, then the chances of you having all of these negative situations crop up are a little harder. It doesn't happen as often if you make this more of a habit where you're cleansing yourself, your home, your family, everything. Just frequently.
And we are entering the perfect time for you to start that tradition. Spring cleaning is right around the corner.
There's a reason for the spring cleaning, y'all. And if you really think about it, right? If you really think about it, if you're cleaning per the calendar year, even for the witch's calendar, if you're doing some major cleansings at these high times, you will have every 3 months basically where you're doing a cleansing. If you go for the new year, then you go for the vernal equinox, then you go for the solstice, Then you go for the autumnal equinox. You know, you're rotating deep cleansing every 3 months, you know? So all of those things are really, you know, important, and those dates are set for a reason.
And if you could use moon cycles too if you want to do it more frequently.
Well, if you're doing a deep cleanse every quarter, so every 3 months, then the in-between time, it's more of a maintenance clean. You're still going through and doing your cleaning, but it doesn't have to be as deep and as thorough as you are during those quarterlies.
Yeah. And don't underestimate sound therapy. I think, Raina, you and I were talking about sound therapy as a means to keeping concentration and keeping, you know, just peace in the home. So water really makes me feel at peace. So sometimes I will just, like, as I'm cleaning, playing running water, or as I'm taking a bath or what have you, water seems really good to me. Classical music, I love to study by classical music. Someone once told me that you get, you know, better concentration when you study, and I went all the way through graduate school using classical music when I studied.
It's true. A lot of people don't know that there is like some occultism in the midst of classical music. Certain pieces, like their negative entities, can't withstand the sound waves that come from some of these musics. So they are literally casting this stuff, which is causing you confusion, giving you an ability to concentrate. It casts them out, the music itself.
So, and then there's the binaural beats, but Lorena, y'all watch out for
I had
the
a bad
binaural
experience.
beat, right?
That's all.
Now,
Just check out your creators. If you're like, because I do love like isotonic and binaural beats and stuff, but you want to listen to this programming from people that you trust. So you want to vet the people who are making this music, and as far as you can to know their intentions are good.
Right.
And I'm going to add aromatherapy to our mix of bringing peace back into your home, because the olfactory senses are really important. And so when you combine that with your auditory, you have created a space that is just divine. So having a diffuser in your space, where not everybody can handle smoke, so going through and burning something may not be possible for everybody, but you can use essential oils. And just about every plant has an essential oil that they can use. So you can put that in the diffuser and let that go and be a part of your cleansing process as well. And there are certain oil blends that you can do. Like Keisha was saying, she uses classical music when she's studying. So if you have the classical music and then you put together a blend to help you stay focused and concentrate, and you're doing those two things at the same time, that's like the ultimate that you can do. When you're trying to study or your kids are trying to study, you have just now created the most peaceful, focused space for that to take place in. So I'm going to throw aromatherapy into that mix as well.
Yes, absolutely, Tony. Any last words, y'all?
Clean your daggone houses. Don't be trifling, damn it. Clean your houses. Spiritually clean your houses.
Yes, absolutely. And with that word, I want to thank you for listening this week. We sure appreciate your presence, your continued support, your love, your outpouring of love. We welcome you back again. And as this will be weekly, we have been trying to keep that word. Feel free again to visit us on our Instagram, Facebook page, contribute to the growth of Black Witch University through our Patreon page, and visit our website at www.blackwitchuniversity.org. Again, we are Black Witch University. We're glad to have you here.
We love you.
You said it was love that made me stutter when I talk. But is it love that makes me stagger when I walk? The gypsy woman told me she's got you conjured, son. Somebody's lying. You are the gypsy one. You said I was jealous when I didn't go to work. You sprinkled my shoes with graveyard dirt. Yes, the gypsy woman told me she's got you conjured, son. Somebody's lying. You are the gypsy one. The whiskey you bought me, I was scared to unscrew it. The gypsy woman told me it was embalming fluid. You got a black cat bone and a buzzard feather, a John the Conqueror, and they all tied together. Yes, the gypsy woman told me she's got you conjured, son. Well, somebody's lying. You are that gypsy one.